Everyone, and welcome back to the Tournament of the Old World Preliminations round. We're round one with the Lizardmen, and as Geoffrey of the Noble Art of the Referee tells me, it is a go-go as we head over to our first round between, I believe it's Kroq-Gar versus Lord Mazdamundi. Giant lizard man versus giant toad person. And Kroq-Gar's bringing quite a formidable force, a Bastillodon with a Revivication Crystal, a rather impressive looking Feral Carnosaur, a Skink Chief, range specialist. Then we have Kroq-Gar himself on his trusty Horned Old One, I think they're called, or Cold One, or something like that, something to do with beers. Some Skink Skirmishers there in the background, providing some range fire support. Heavy range fire support in the form of an Ancient Salamander, rather impressive looking beastie. Some core infantry and the Saurus Spears with shields, and a unit of Cold One Spear Riders. A small but effective force nonetheless, but over on the opposite side of them is Lord Mazdamundi's much larger appearing force. He's got a unit of Pterodon Riders, which are basically ranged Skink Skirmishers on Pterodons. Behind that, we've also got some Feral Cold Ones, which are basically just a bunch of raptor-like creatures. Making up the rest of his skirmish line, there is a Feral Bastillodon, large dino there, backed by a unit of Chameleon Skinks for some ranged skirmishing firepower, some red-crested Skinks behind them, basically dual weapon wielders there. We've got some more Feral Cold Ones, a Skink Chief of his own, a Bastillodon with a Revivication Crystal as well. Lord Mazdamundi on his science fiction floating throne, of course, as we all know in the original write-up for the Old Ones. Well, I think that is him. I think that this is one of the last remaining Old Ones of the 40k universe. This is one of them with the super high tech. They've somewhat regressed at this point. Some Saurus Spears with shields, and I think that's it for the force. Yeah, so let's see how this goes between these two rather heavy-hitting powerhouses. Now, Lizardmen are particularly well-liked for many reasons, really. The Lizardmen are a tough old race to defeat. They have a lot of natural armor, being covered in scales. They are pretty tough to rout as well, because they're all cold-blooded, so they don't feel fear as easily as warm-blooded races do. And they have access to some pretty nasty units. A lot of them are these large dinosaur creatures that they use to just basically cause havoc in the front lines. There's not really much kind of nuance to a lot of the Lizardmen forces. They will have a strong focus on spell casting with the specialist characters, especially their Slann mages, or they will use a combination of skirmish forces to whittle down foes and big heavy-hitting monsters and frontline forces to just tear ass through the enemy. That's pretty much how they work. Also, I think from the collecting side, Lizardmen can be quite popular as well. You can paint them any myriad range of colours you want, nice bright colours. There's nothing really that you can do particularly wrong with them, and I think that's represented well here in the Warhammer 2 game. We can see here that Lord Mazdamundi cast a couple of spells there, did some pretty decent damage. That's the Ancient Salamander launching basically like exploding fireballs from its mouth. We could see it. There we go. And a nice big explosion over there. Over in the middle here, the Feral Cold Ones have gone into a rampage. Now this is a factor of a lot of the monstrous units within the Lizardmen lineup, is that they can basically go crazy and become uncontrollable. Now, this is a bit of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, once a creature goes feral, they no longer flee, they're just attacking enemies all around them. The downside is that you lose control of the unit, so it's incapable of doing anything else. At the moment, Mazdamundi seems to have the upper hand. I'm not surprised by this, given he has a larger force. I think he's got a much more focused force. I mean, that Ancient Salamander is definitely going to be doing work. The Skink Skirmishers have just driven off the Feral Cold Ones, and the Skink Chief, who, as I mentioned earlier, is a ranged specialist. He will be doing single shots each time with his blowgun. But each of those hits is pretty much a guaranteed kill on whatever he hits. So, like, if we see the Saurus Spear, and there's a dead one there, and that's the Skink Chief. So every time he shoots, every time he hits, is basically a dead infantry, and that's great chip damage for any Lizardman unit. Coupled with the range firepower of the ancient Salamander here. Now Kroq-Gar, he did get forced to retreat, but he has come back into the fight, and oh, there come the Pterodon Riders. Not particularly strong force to be throwing into a melee. Another spell being cast here. This might have been a bad choice by Lord Mazdamundi. He's damaging himself and his own units, and this is not going well. There's a lot of red-crested skinks that just got, I don't know what happened to them. They got, I don't know, spaghettified. I don't know, those ancient Slann mage priests, let me tell you, they've got access to all kinds of tech which looks like magic, but it's actually science fiction all written all over them. Now, I don't know if this has been retconned since, but I'm pretty sure that the whole point in the Slann is that they were the ones who kind of came to the old world, and they sort of set this all up, basically. They created this world. And I'm not sure if the idea originally, when the two sort of Warhammer and 40k were linked, that this is supposed to be a world some way far off, distant planet in the Warhammer 40k universe, where everything that seems to be magic is probably some kind of connection to the warp, so magicians are actually psychers, essentially. Oh my god, he's just picked that up. Oh, and he just slammed it to the ground. He didn't kill it. It was an impressive... That looked like it would have been a fantastic kill animation. Like, he would literally just lift it into the air and slam it into the ground, but no, he just... I think he just like, proved that it was like, no, bitch. I'm more powerful. I got my floating throne. Someone came in and put handprints all over him. It was a joke, I imagine. This is a very back and forth battle, though. It's hard to read exactly who's winning this. Now, the ancient Salamander is out of... I guess it's out of ammunition. I guess there's only so much stomach acid that can fire at enemies. The feral cold ones again have come back. These things have been routed and have since rallied multiple times. The ancient Salamander having a pretty tough fight against these units. Feral cold ones do have a few levels on them as well, just going to give them some extra hit points, extra attack stats. Here comes Kroq-Gar again, charging in, big stab into the bottom. He gets blasted by Mazdamundi. They are literally on, both of them on such a small amount of hit points. Lord Mazdamundi realistically should be in a bit of a disadvantage here, fighting against a melee specialist like Kroq-Gar. Kroq-Gar may be, to be honest, he might be getting saved by his armor here from some of those hits. They might not have been registering because of that. Here comes the Feral Carnosaur again, the pretty intact Bastillodon with a Revivification Crystal. There's a lot of hit points left on that beast. It looks like the Ancient Salamander ran off the Feral Cold ones. Yeah, the Feral Carnosaur running, Kroq-Gar getting out of there again, not a surprise. But here comes Kroq-Gar's Bastillodon with a Revivification Crystal back into the fight. I'm not really 100% sure. Here come the Skink Skirmishers now. They're out of ammunition, so they're going to get into the melee as they charge in. Hit from out. There goes Kroq-Gar, full charge straight into the Skirmishers. Oh my god, he's bounced them off a rock. In fact, I think he hit them so hard, I think they almost broke. But he can't have... He must be on a sliver of health. But somehow Kroq-Gar's still fighting. The Revivification Crystal on Bastillodon fires up. But the Bastillodon is almost dead as well. There's so many units hitting it. The Ancient Salamander jumps in at Lord Mazdamundi. Oh! They're fleeing! He pulled it back from the brink. We can see the bar at the top has gone. The enemy troop count is 0. That's it. They fled. Jeff's called it. It's over. What a turnaround. There, everything was so close to death on Kroq-Gar's side, but he actually pulled it back. If we have a look at the stats at the end of this, Kroq-Gar brought 209 compared to Lord Mazdamundi's 296. Nearly 100 extra lizards on the field. Kroq-Gar himself only killing 16 but doing a phenomenal amount of damage. The Skink Chief killing 25. The Saurus Spears with shields only 8. 17 from the Skink Skirmishers, 15 from the Cold One Spear Riders, 16 from the Bastillodon, 36 from the Feral Council, but the man of the match, 113, the Ancient Salamander. Absolutely fantastic performance there from that creature. Mazdamundi himself got more than Kroq-Gar, 35 kills. His Skink Chief didn't do as much, neither did his Red Crested Skinks. I mean, his best performing unit was probably his other unit of Feral Cold Ones. One of them only got 2 kills before they were run off completely. Followed not too far behind by the Pterodon Riders. He had a Feral Bastillodon that got 0 kills. I mean, that's a big creature to not have any kind of result from. Damage-wise, very little damage. It's a surprising turnaround. It's a battle that really should have gone in the favour of Mazdamundi, and it just fell apart for him at the end. And yeah, what a surprising turnaround. At the end, Kroq-Gar had 59 compared to Lord Mazdamundi's 42, but literally any solid hit from any of Mazdamundi's forces probably would have killed Kroq-Gar, and that would have won them the fight. That was a battle. But yeah, so thanks for watching the first round of the prelimination of the Lizardmen. This one's shaping up to be a big one, everyone. There's going to be quite a few rounds of this, and I suspect the rest of them are going to be very nasty. So we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.